Welcome. This is our second episode. We now have a title, I think. Might not have told Josh what it is, but he'll find out now. It's we're gonna call this Hoboken by Impastato and Einstein. What do you think?
Einstein.
Einstein.
How many times? Why would the second EIN sound different from the first
Tomato,
EIN?
tomato, right?
No.
Okay, so Einstein. Hoboken by Impastato and Einstein is our second episode. We'll dive right in. Election season is over. Thank God. Now we can get into some real business and getting stuff done. Just do a quick recap of who won. We'll go ward by ward. You want to start us off?
I mean, so we know in the first ward, DeFusco had a fairly whopping victory against Ms. Pagan.
Mrs. Pagan Milano?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Second ward, Fisher won. She survived.
Yep. The Fusco won 2-1, which was a little surprising. We thought maybe Mrs. Milano might have had a bigger fight there.
Well, I said she was going to get 30 to 35%, so I feel vindicated in my guess.
Good. I'm glad that you feel better about that.
Yeah.
I was at the DeFusco after party, which was very high energy and very happy. So that was cool to be there in support of Mike. And second ward, Fisher won. Third ward, Russo won easily. Wasn't even a contest. Batista got, I believe it was 30%, maybe not even.
Yeah, but again, he's setting himself up to run the moment Russo retires.
Right. Or something else happens.
Yeah, well, we never know the future.
Yeah. Fourth ward was Ramos by 2-1. Another 2-1, just not even close. Fifth ward was the one that we talked a lot about. It was interesting, to say the least. It looked like Maganuco and Kroll split, pretty much got the same amount of votes, and Cohen doubled them up. Got 51%.
Yep. I mean, we were filming for the show, The Pulse with Peter B. We did an election night episode, and so we hit a lot of the campaign celebrations before some of the results came in. And when we were at the Bala Camp celebration, or get together, whatever you want to call it, in the upstairs City Bistro, we actually had to go there twice because the results hadn't come in for all the wards yet, so or really any of the wards. But in the beginning, when things didn't look good at all for Team Bala, it was kind of like a funeral. Very, very muted. I mean, everyone was like happy to be with people that they've known for a long time, and there's definitely an esprit de corps and a sense of community there. But in terms of why they were there, everyone was kind of nervous. And then we ran around. We filmed at other places. We went to Fisher. We went to Giotino. We went to DeFusco. And then Peter, the host of the Pulse with Peter B, went back to City Bistro because the results for the fifth ward had come in, and it was late, and I was tired, so I was like, I'm going to sleep.
Right.
But at that point, he told me, and people can watch online if they want to, that it was just like a very different crowd. They were so happy about Cohen's win that it just lifted everybody in the room.
Cohen tells a story that at 7:35 he was bringing a elderly, sick woman via his car to the polling station. So he was working to the wee hours.
He didn't use a bicycle
I don't know.
or an electric scooter.
No, he said he drove.
He doesn't care about the environment.
He was working right to the end, and I stopped by Ted DeWillow to give my condolences to Tim Kroll, who just gave a good fight, but was not enough there.
Well, him and Maganuco.
Yeah, they both. Yeah.
Very good campaigns, especially for their virgin time.
Yeah. We hope to see more of them.
Yeah, and they'll never forget their first time because you just don't.
Yeah, that's true. So then the sixth ward, I also stopped by Jen Giotino's party over by Church Square Park on 4th Street, that bar there. Moran's, yep. And it was a weird feeling. We ran into each other when I walked in. Gave you a nice little hug, fist bump. and hug there for our podcast buddies.
We were leaving. We were heading to City Bistro to Camp Bala. We just finished filming with Giacchino.
Right. And it was weird inside. People were, at that moment when I walked in, which was probably about 10:30, it was that Jen won at the polls, won by the machines, but they needed to count the VBMs. And then by the time I left around 11:30, it was almost that she was going to win. But it wasn't sure. We didn't know. So there was a lot of weird.
I think when they were done counting the machines, I don't remember the exact numbers, but there were still 150 vote by mails and 100 provisional ballots. And in a really tight race, that could change everything.
Yep.
So I think it was the same feeling at Giacchino's gathering and later celebration that the Bala camp had. Everyone was on edge. Although in the end, the Bala camp only won one, and the opposition incumbents they kept their seats.
We can't fail to mention Rosner in the sixth.
Oh, great guy, wonderful guy.
Great guy. I've never met him in person. He got 48 votes, 10 more with the VBMs, so 58 total. Not a great performance by Frank.
Yeah, but listen, when I ran, which was the first time I ran for anything, I didn't have a great performance either. I had a great time. Gave it a lot of exposure. Got to meet a lot of people. And in the most awkward way possible, because you're like knock, 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 hello, stranger.
Yeah, so hopefully it was the same experience.
So yeah, I think he had a great time.
So that's pretty much, we've got one new. Peter Cunningham is leaving. We've got Phil Cohen, back by the mayor, coming in. The dynamic of the council still remains, in my opinion. They're still going to have their 5 aligned votes. I would assume, between Vanessa Falco, Mike DeFusco, Fisher, Giacchino, and Ramos. I think those 5 stayed pretty consistent in their voting. And then you've got the back by the mayor. On the mayor's side, you've got now Cohen, Doyle, and Jabor. And then the outlier is Russo, where it depends on where the wind is blowing that day and where that wind can take his valuables, which way or the other, he kind of goes that way.
Well, I like to think that he shows, depending on his perception of his interest, he shows whichever side a little bit of leg, lifts the skirt just a little bit.
Right. Let's jump into kind of what's going on at City Hall. We had a city council meeting this past Wednesday. There's been some new things going on in the city. What we'll try to do each week is kind of recap some of the major things happening. Some new loading zones have hit the city of Hoboken. One in the 5th Ward over on Adams and 12th Street over by the Dunkin' Donuts. New zone over there. Also a new loading zone and an entire new path over on Newark Street, which has about 2 or 3 new loading zones, a protected bike lane to get to the path, new safety measures in place. That construction already started on this past Wednesday, is going to be continuing for the next couple weeks. My note on loading zones, they are effective when they're enforced. So what you're seeing right now in the pilot program for the loading zones in the 3rd Ward is that people are using them as their personal private parking spaces, right? So if you're not enforced and the signs don't mention, which they don't, what the time limit is to park there, you lose that sense of creating an atmosphere where trucks can come and load and unload and groceries or whatever you have for 15 minutes. Keep your hazards on, and keep it enforced. One way to do that, which I've mentioned to the city transportation director, is to have sensors in the road. So it alerts after 15 minutes if the person is still parked there. It goes right to the HPU tablet, and we send someone to give a ticket. He actually mentioned that they're thinking about doing it right by mail. So as long as you're parked there for 15 minutes, you won't even get a ticket on your car. You're gonna get a ticket. I'm not gonna lie. It's as long as the sign says it, and then it's fine. But they have to be descriptive in saying what that sign says. Enforced by sensors, ticket in the mail, how much the ticket is, what the rules are of that spot.
So I'm against this completely.
Against what? The enforcement
I mean, pretty much everything.
or the loading zones?
But yes.
Okay.
I don't think the solution to the parking problem, whether it's loading or long-term not long-term parking, but what's de facto long-term parking. Essentially, they're trying to solve the problem of cars because they see people as they see cars as a problem. And I think it's just a reality. And I don't think we need more tickets. We don't need to squeeze people or businesses for more money and make their life more difficult. We just need to stop eliminating parking spots. We need to stop shrinking the landscape of the street by putting obstacles, whether it's these silly protected barriers for the bikes, or these special areas for loading and offloading. This was always a town that was congested, and that for decades had a ton of cars, and it managed to survive and thrive. And all these bougie ass changes that the holier than thou crowd in City Hall are trying to do just makes life more difficult for people.
I would disagree. I agree with your overall macro sentiment on City Hall, but I disagree on like the micro element of the loading zone. I think a loading zone works again if it's enforced. So the theory is that they put them on the corners. So you're not allowed to park there anyway because you're within 25 feet of a crosswalk. So
yeah, but
you're not taking away
with the
parking.
Bump outs, they push that, and then they end up killing more spots. I mean, in theory, yeah.
I just think during the day, from 8 to 4, 8 to 3, if you put a loading zone in, it's fine. As long as that loading zone after 3 p.m. becomes a parking spot,
all right, fine.
You're good. But the problem is, Josh, you have to enforce it. Because what happens is, business owners that own business right by the loading zones, what do? They use it as their personal parking spot. And if they're not enforced, they don't get a ticket, they don't get hit with money, because that's the only thing that changes people, they're going to continue to do it. So that's, and the director of HPU has commented that they don't have the resources. They can't be everywhere and see everything. So I mentioned, well, let's use technology. That's what technology is for.
Well, I mean, I'll cede the point for a moment, but I want to harp on something you said, that money is the only thing that changes what people do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's what changes what people do. I think it changes the people that are doing it. And when we have, whatever the measure is, whatever best of intentions is allegedly behind it, when you raise the cost of living someplace, because that's what a lot of these measures do, you're not going to get people that are actually driving or bringing less cars into town. You're going to get people that can afford the fine and the de facto tax on the car. So what you're actually doing,
right.
you're encouraging
it's a local tax
gentrification, sure. If you can say that Hoboken isn't already gentrified, but you're encouraging a swap of the economics of our town, or any town that you try this on. Jersey City's going through this like crazy right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it changes what people do. It really just changes the people that can afford to do it.
Got it. Yeah, well, and the next debate is going to be changing the resident sticker to a higher price. A lot of people are saying that $15 is not enough. They might, they're talking about raising it to $150. We're going to see again, I run a parking app. I get tons of users that comment on these type of things every single day. We have a huge parking problem. I actually agree that the rate should be higher. $15 isn't enough. I'm already disagreeing with however the city rolls it out, because I know, based on experience, that they're just going to be not smart about it.
Well,
they're just going to raise it. They're going to be like, 125 for everybody.
Why don't they cap the amount of permits that they give out? There's no constitutional, whether it's in the state constitution or the federal constitution, there's no inherent natural law-based right or God-given right to have a permit. There's a scarcity of spaces, right? So let's say no more new residents get permits. That's a reasonable thing that doesn't cost anyone that lives here anything.
Yeah,
all right?
It's tough though, because if you're preventing someone that wants to live in our city. We want people to come here that want to be here, that are going to impact our community. They should have the right to come here. If they need to drive because they're working in Metuchen or Edison, then they should have that right to have a parking spot on the street just like everyone else.
Well, first of all, again, it's not a right. So, I mean, we have to be careful about what we say are rights and are not rights.
No, but everyone who lives in Hoboken right now has a right to go and get a resident sticker.
Yes,
right?
They have the legal ability to do so.
Right.
Only because.
So I'm just saying everyone then should have that ability to go do.
Yeah, but there are plenty of things that our businesses had the legal right to do. They used to have the legal right to put neon signs in the window, and then the city decided neon signs are the devil. Now, I know they're annoying, but like, it's something that the city changed. It's not a fundamental human right, right? So, as long as we're contemplating making people's lives more difficult and more expensive, why does it fall on the people that are already here?
Well, I agree with that, and one way they could do it is have a dynamic plan that says everyone that's here already is grandfathered in, right? Or saying everyone that's born here, that's been here 20 years is grandfathered in. Anyone that's 15 years into 10 years, it goes up to $30. Anyone that's 5 years and less, it goes up to $45. And then anyone new coming in, it's $100. Make it something impactful where it's $100 or $125.
See, now that's actually an example of a local government discriminating amongst its citizenry based on things that they can't control, like whether or not they were born here, whether or not they were raised here. But
it's like a matter of fairness,
if you cut off the supply, right, and say, no more new permits, people that are going to move here know if I move here and I want a car, I have to either I have to not bring my car, or I have to rent a place or buy a place that has a driveway or a parking lot underneath it. It's the same way that we require stupidly, but it's a similar non-stupid version of the way, or inverse version of the way that we require buildings that are particularly large to build parking underneath.
Right.
But I don't think the plan should just stop there. I think it should be that the parking permits belong to the person, or at least to the person for like a 10-year lease, and they're fungible. You could sell it to somebody. It shouldn't be attached to the car. It should be attached to the person, and the person can sell it to somebody. That way, if I'm an altakaka, that's Yiddish for like really old guy, I've been here my whole life.
Say that again.
Altakaka. So if I'm some crusty old altakaka that's been here my entire life, right? But I don't need a car anymore, but I still have this permit, I should be able to sell it to the annoying neighbor that I have that blasts their music too loud, that came to Hoboken because it's a party town.
It's interesting. I haven't heard that one.
Say, hey, what's it worth to you?
I haven't heard that one.
You create a market, all right, for something that's being messed up by a stupid, inefficient local government monopoly.
Let's jump on to $99,000 that was approved for the Vision Zero plan. This blows my mind, but we just spent, as city council meeting, $99,000 contract to a company to not execute, but just come up with a plan for Vision Zero. And Vision Zero is zero deaths, I believe, zero deaths for pedestrians walking in our city. Is that what it is?
It's actually negative 10 deaths. They want to
They want to add
some people.
So babies, we're going to count babies. Every baby that comes in.
No, it's really zero vision. Because no one runs for office and no one runs a town being like, I want to kill people. People gotta die. This is in Serbia during the breakup of Yugoslavia, right? Like, no one's trying to ethnically cleanse anybody.
What is the problem?
Literally everyone's vision is no death.
Look, one death is enough in my mind if something is going on, and one death happens, then yes, I mean, come on, we don't want people dying. But what is the problem? Like, how many deaths has there been in Hoboken over the course of the existence of the city, that now we are saying, oh man, we need to do something about this. We need to have an entire plan so that no more people die.
It's a power grab.
Is that what it is?
It's a power grab. There are people...
So that the city hall can say, this is what we put in, right? We can brag about this.
Well, first of all, it's a really... It's like saying, it's the equivalent of a child saying, I like unicorns. Who gives a crap? all children like unicorns. There's nothing original about that. There's nothing creative. There's no thought process. But it's all, and it's something that's inoffensive. It's the lowest common denominator of politics because no one can disagree with zero death.
Right.
Right? Like,
So
it's a way to demagogue the things that they wanted to do anyway, which a large part of the town.
Thank you for explaining that to me because I was so confused by this entire thing. I actually said to the director of transportation in a meeting I had a couple weeks ago, why not have zero toes? Right? Zero toes. Let's have a plan. Yeah, exactly. Let's have a plan that says, here's what we're going to do, and our goal is to have zero cars towed for temporary no parking signs or whatever have you in the city of Hoboken by 2025. Right? And exactly what you just did. It's all about money, and it's all about this. Unicorns, man. Unicorns.
They're the worst. Kill them all.
Bike lane pilot. You wanna touch on that?
So the rumor on the street is that the original bike lane pilot plan, which had Clinton Street on it, will no longer be on Clinton because even though the people at that community meeting were told by the administration, the representative, that it was cleared with the fire department, allegedly the fire department only recently or subsequent to that meeting stepped in and said Clinton is a emergency route. We need to be able to get across town. You can't narrow the street. And I think all of Hoboken is an emergency route, not to dilute the meaning of that word, but if there's a fire over on Jefferson or a fire over on First Street, you need the emergency responders to be able to get there, to treat the people, to put out the fire, to close the street.
Right.
And if you add these bike lanes and you narrow the streets further, it's just going to end up, and it's going to end up with more. It's not going to meet the zero vision criteria of no deaths because you're going to, if there's, God forbid, a house fire, that 30-second extra that it takes the firefighters to get there might be the difference between dying of a fire or smoke inhalation. So it's just bad news all around. And I feel for the bicyclists, no doubt.
I don't know.
No, listen. I haven't.
We're getting.
Except for the exercise bike, I haven't, and that not so much. But I haven't ridden a bike since I was 16. But it was 21 miles, and it was really fun. All right. There's no way I would ride it in an urban area. Our drivers are insane, but especially people with kids, that are trying to teach their kids. But use the sidewalk. We're all annoyed by you guys on the sidewalk already. Why are you pissing us off by narrowing our street?
Right.
And I don't even have a car either. I'm just saying. I feel
don't have a bike. Don't have a car.
Don't scoot.
Don't scoot. But very opinionated on all three.
I'm Jewish.
All right, let's go to let's see what you think about pizza. Margarita's Pizza, or Margarita's, not just a pizza place, obviously Italian restaurant of I guess all different types of food. They reopened this past week. On the council meeting, they came back for their the first time they went in front of the council. They got they petitioned to have their 500-foot rule thrown out so that it could serve beer and wine. Okay, 500-foot rule says we can't create another license for you if there's another competing bar within 500 feet. Okay, this kind of limits the amount of bars that are in one area and spreads them out. So they went in front of the council 2 months ago, got denied. Somehow, by not even changing anything, I watched the entire thing, they got approved.
They must have sent them pizza.
They did something.
They sent pizza to all the council people. Boom.
As Councilman Doyle said, what has changed since the last time you were in front of us? And he didn't have any answers, but long story short, they got approved. I think it's good for business. If someone wants to serve liquor and beer to enhance their bottom line, right, I think they should have the opportunity to. And the margins are tight. Businesses are tight in Washington. The gentleman's bringing a new establishment. He's refurbishing a new establishment. He's keeping the old staff. I think it's fantastic.
Well, listen, I know not everyone is as libertarian and small government as I am. So I'll just say that most laws are nonsense, as are most of our liquor laws. But even if one accepts the idea that there should be 500 feet between every bar, because otherwise it's the end of the world, at least change the rules for the clearly sit-down restaurants.
Right.
You know, so they can
And that's
survive
what they
in this
mentioned.
town. I mean, with everything else going up against them,
Right.
you know, all the ridiculous rules and regulations coming out of City Hall. I'm not talking about health codes. I also don't want to die, but like, you
Yeah,
know, for food poisoning. But you know, everything that's like not a health code is usually nonsense out of City Hall. So, you know, let the places that are clearly sit-down restaurants serve beer and wine, you know, without you know, twisting their arm, because the reality is people can bring liquor with them. They can bring a bottle of wine, and then, you know, they could be just as rowdy as if, you know, they were at a bar. And I've seen that happen to horrible people that, you know, get wasted during dinner. I don't understand.
We've got a couple topics from the council meeting. I'll mention them, and then you let me know which one you want to talk about. The rail yards, the revised plan got approved on first reading, okay, for over by the path. Special Improvement District, we're going to be starting to talk about how that's going to impact our local business community. Electric vehicle charging stations are coming to Hoboken. E-scooters are no longer allowed to park their scooters on the sidewalks. And medical cannabis, a dispensary is potentially coming to Hoboken. So out of those, any of those kind of get you going, get your...
Well, number one, rail yard. Why is NJ Transit a property owner, and why do their prices always go up if they're going to make tens and tens of millions of dollars on all the property that they own everywhere? And it's not just with NJ Transit, it's with the Port Authority. We have these government agencies that have gone way past their mandate, that own tons of property, that are essentially giant landlords and developers, and it does not make any sense that the fares we pay only go up, and the profit they make also only goes up on their supposedly ancillary side gigs. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
I'm more concerned the rail yards. It's a massive project. It's going to bring two huge towers right above the training, you know, the training tracks over there. The congestion, traffic. It's just going to be a mess. There's no new roads. You can't get any new roads over there. So there's going to have all these people coming in, shopping, retail. It's going to be a disaster, I think. So, but, you know, these developers are lining these council members' pockets. We started to see that in this election. When the mayoral race in 2 years happens, it's going to be even more so. And that's what you're seeing. You're seeing hardball being played, different council people being lobbied to get things done. And we're going to see what happens there. Charging stations, I think, are fantastic, even though you disagree with them.
Horrible, stupid. Oh my God.
I mean, this is something, though, that's like not, like, it's so easy. This is not a unicorn, right? This is electric vehicles are better for the environment. We should just,
100%. Less than 17%.
I drive a Tahoe, which is not very good for the environment, right? A big truck.
Where do you park in Hoboken?
I park everywhere. It's very simple.
How long does it take you to find parking?
I'm over on 12.
You're parking in the loading zone.
I'm at 12 in Clinton. There's so many spots back on Jefferson and Adams. It's very simple. But you're telling me that if I had a Tesla, that the Tesla is worse for the environment than my Tahoe?
So just in the electric vehicles themselves, the battery, the lithium-ion battery, is actually in the production of it, and then also later on in the disposal of it, absolutely horrible and garbage for the environment. And then more with a greater impact on the environment is the fact that electric vehicles, whether it's the stupid scooters or the stupid electric cars, get their electricity from somewhere. And electricity is a fungible commodity, meaning like if you make it from an solar panel or a stupid windmill or someplace that burns coal or oil or nuclear energy, it all goes to the same market. It's all the same, right? So
more?
Less than 17% of our domestic energy production comes from quote unquote renewables. All right.
Okay.
So you're actually creating more fossil fuel. All right, output, right? You're putting more of these negative, evil chemicals into the air. Your carbon footprint is greater when you're driving an electric car than when you're just driving an average sedan. Maybe not your Tahoe giant truck.
Where are you on recycling?
I'm fine with recycling, but the reality is most of the stuff we send to the recycling plants actually just gets put in the landfill.
Medical cannabis dispensary coming to Hoboken.
I think weed is good.
Okay. Enough said there. We asked for some questions sometimes to come in from our viewers. Last week we posted. We had some people, some good comments back and forth. It's all about growing this. Got a question from someone. DM me, and after we talked about who you are and who I am, this person wants to know what's it like dating in Hoboken as a single Jewish Republican. Stephanie from Uptown Hoboken.
Well, Stephanie from Uptown Hoboken.
Give me a call.
Give me a call whether you're a member of the tribe or not. No doubt we could get a drink.
So single. You are single.
Yeah, definitely single.
I am married. I have a 3-year-old daughter. So I don't think we talked about that last week. Single, Stephanie, give Josh a call. Is that what we're going with? I think that mainly, maybe what she was trying to get at is you're involved politically in this town. This is a huge Democratic village, right? A lot of Democrats here, a lot of the Republican Party is not huge here in New Jersey and also in Hoboken, or Hudson County.
That is
Hudson County is very.
But our municipal Republican chair, Chris Carvine, is doing a very good job growing the party, and there are actually over 5,000 Republicans in Hoboken.
Wow.
And last presidential election, the President Trump, did get a couple hundred more votes in Hoboken than there are actually registered Republicans. So there's definitely ample room to grow. But I always tell women that I might be flirting with or going on a date with or whatever the situation is, I tell them up front that I'm Jewish and that I am a conservative Republican. And I don't want to have anyone that inspires remorse.
That comes out in the first, how long?
I say, hey, I'm Josh, I'm pro-life. Not that quickly, but almost that quickly, all right?
I would love to view this date.
I mean, usually they're fairly awkward.
So,
but awkward is life.
But is it awkward because you find you being Jewish and a Republican, you're sensitive to that? So that's why you feel like you have to expose it? Why not just let it play out?
Well,
and see if she likes you for who you are, and then more important issues can get hashed out later on.
So, I mean, these two aspects are really integral to my identity. Obviously less the political, but still very important, but more the tribal affiliation, right? So if I'm at the bar with friends and we start talking to a group of women and they're not just pretending they're interested in us or just walking away, I want them to know just off the bat, that I'm a.
So if you strike up a conversation with a Catholic girl, it's no chance of dating.
I mean, we could go on a couple of days, see what a little something happens, but no, honestly, I don't know. I've never dated somebody seriously that wasn't Jewish, so I don't know if it's something that I would or wouldn't do.
Right.
I've definitely had my little fun time, and with wonderful, wonderful people, women. They are people, but you know what I mean. I mean, you can find me on Facebook, Joshua Silver or Einstein.
We should have a singled out next podcast. Get you lined up. I mean, dating in Hoboken in itself, I mean, I don't really remember it. It's been so long, but
it's not that hard.
It seems like it's
not that hard. If you really
a lot of young people.
Well, it depends what the goal is, right? If your goal is just to get a little something, really not that hard. If your goal is to have something a little bit more,
substance.
What? This for substance. This should be for a little something, something. All right.
Well, listen, this is my substance. You know, your substance might be something else, maybe a little
Bigger. It's bigger.
a little
It's
hands in the
bigger.
air.
No, but for something a little bit more, that's more challenging. That's what I'm looking for, but as of yet, haven't found it.
Wanted to comment on, I found out today that the new water director for the city of Hoboken resigned, which is comical only because our new water division, okay, we created an entirely new department for water, okay, water utility, that now is going to give us more revenue from our water, that we need more control than we had with Suez in the past. We hired a new director for that water utility. Seemed like a nice guy. He resigned today after being in his post for 2 months. Is this comical? Is this don't really care?
It's real. I'm just curious. Like, did this guy get a better opportunity? Was there a family?
There's something else behind
you
this.
know,
I agree.
Which, you know, obviously if it's a family thing, it's none of our business. If it's a different opportunity, it's none of our business.
Maybe background check.
You feel the background.
Something
you feel the background check.
Drug test. Hey, we don't know.
To make sure there's no lead in our water. No, that's like, no. They can even pass that.
Maybe something happened in his past. Maybe he just got in and someone in the city hall rubbed him the wrong way. We don't know.
Yeah, no. If that's what happened, if there's some
Could be a
machination
story,
from city hall, then this might be a little bit.
Got a lot of interesting characters.
Or maybe the job of overseeing some of the replacements of the pipes that bring us our water that are 1 million years old and paper thin. Maybe he just decided juice ain't worth the squeeze. That it's going to be too much difficulty. I could see it. But who knows?
Your business of the week.
So the last time I mentioned a business, it closed. So maybe I should.
Wait, is that right?
Yep,
the shawarma place on Washington.
It was less than a year old, and it was wonderful.
Wow, this podcast goes. We've got some juice here, man.
Destructive, horrible juice.
Unbelievable.
So no, obviously it had nothing to do with my.
It was only open for a year, you said.
Less than a year, yeah.
All right, so we can get something a little more maybe that's been around.
All right, so I don't want to jinx any place. So I'm going to say someplace that will never close.
The Hoboken podcast jinx.
The beer garden.
Okay.
North of the Lido.
And what about it?
I love the staff. They have really great bartenders. Despite the fact that they just started having female bartenders, like a year ago, I'm okay with them. And I'm not against female bartenders. I just like if I go someplace, I want things to stay the same.
Right.
So they used to only have, male bartenders and female servers. And then like 2 years ago, they started having male servers, which I wasn't okay with. And then like a year ago, maybe less, they started to have a female bartender, and she's really nice, like really wonderful person to talk to when there's not a lot of people there. And I accept it now. Progress. But she's great. They have her name is Melissa. They have another bartender, Andrew, that's absolutely the most wonderful person ever, and it's just like a really warm staff.
Cool. Yeah, I've been there a couple times. It seems like a great spot. My spot of the week, or business of the week, essentially, is the Hoboken Brewing guys. 2 guys went to Rutgers, good friends. Guy started making beer out of his apartment in Jersey City Heights, and fast forward 5 years, they now have a company called Hoboken Brewing. They've got 6 to 10 beers on tap that are in their distribution. They're in almost every Hoboken bar and liquor store, and they're building, they're improving, they're trying to take this brand, and we're trying to work together with them to get a tap room here in Hoboken, a brewery, which I think would be pretty cool. Thoughts on that? I mean,
I support drinking.
Yeah, good. We're gonna do some upcoming events. We didn't do this last week, but we've got a couple events coming up. I think it's this is a podcast about Hoboken. Probably important to talk about current events. And I'm just gonna edit this out, but we'll just because of that we'll just repeat it. We're gonna do some current events now for Hoboken coming up. We've got next week. We've got a community dinner run by Grant Sahog. I might be saying his name incorrectly, and his buddy his roommate. They run a community dinner once a month. This one's at 221 Jackson Street. Bring a friend, open to anybody. It's fantastic. You know, different people coming together.
Is it a potluck?
They organize. You can bring food, but it's not necessary. You don't have to bring food. You can come and eat as much as you want. There's always enough food. But if you are willing to bring food, you just contact them and you can bring food. But you don't have to. Good question. 11 a.m. on Monday, Veterans Day. Is this Monday? My father is a veteran, Vietnam. So we definitely want to give our thanks to them. We're going to have a service, or the city's having a service at Legion Park Monday morning.
So, and then I got 2 events on there, both of which I'm involved with. Shabbat dinner for all you members of the tribe, especially if you're a Jewish female and you'd like to tell me why I'm wrong in being a Republican. We're having a Shabbat dinner for young adults in the synagogue. That's 115 Park Avenue. It's $15. There'll be kosher Chinese food on November 15th at 8 p.m. And it'll be a really good time. I'm going to eat a lot of Chinese food, and you can yell at me about my politics.
Nice.
And then the next day, November 16th, it's not in town, but it's another event that I'm doing. Young Americans for Liberty is having a panel discussion of free thinkers, libertarians, Republicans, conservatives, people that just want smaller government. So we're going to have a couple of people that are involved locally in the Hudson County community, someone that has a Turning Point USA chapter in her high school in one of the cities, in Bayonne, started a Turning Point USA group there, and a libertarian group and a Republican group, and we're going to have a panel discussion to talk about what it's like not to be a Democrat or a left-winger in Hudson County. Because like you were saying, Hoboken's a Democratic village, well, the entire county. So that's going to be at Dorian's Red Hand Bar near the mall in Jersey City at 4 p.m. on Saturday, November 16th.
Cool. 2 other fundraisers going on next week. Mile Square Theater is having their Broadway fundraiser 7 p.m. on Monday, this coming Monday.
I bought tickets to that last year,
nice.
And I do not regret it. It was really, really good.
That's great. So pick up tickets for that. And then Thursday at 7 to 9 at the Elks, the Fund for a Better Waterfront is meeting for a fundraiser. Talk about, I guess, more land that maybe we can acquire for.
Why do they need more fundraisers? What extra land do we have?
What is your thoughts on eminent domain of Union Dry Dock while we're on it? Or is that another podcast?
That's like it's wrong, and the rest is another podcast.
Okay, got it. And then me personally, I have a Hoboken Housing Authority meeting on Thursday, so I'll be reporting back on some things going on there.
And those are open to the public?
They are open to the public. Anybody can come. We talk about issues with the Housing Authority. We vote and approve any new contracts to get things done at the Housing Authority, open to anybody that wants to come. Definitely support the Housing Authority, and we want to bring new ideas and fresh faces all the time. So yeah, come on out. Next week we're going to try to get a guest on. So if you're listening, if you're watching, if you know somebody that wants to come on, I've got a short list of people that we're looking for Hoboken business owners. That's what we really want. We want to talk to them, ask them questions.
Or Stephanie from Uptown Hoboken.
Yeah. We want to pick their brain on what's it like to run a business here in Hoboken, because it can be challenging at times, and we want to really get into it and chat it up with them and see if we can help. And that's what it's all about, is connecting and seeing what's going on. So for Josh and myself, Andrew Impastato, that is episode number 2, Hoboken by Impastato and Einstein. See ya.